The following may contain harsh language, poorly communicated ideas, and does not reflect the opinions of iHeartRadio.
In reality, I found this on the 10-year anniversary DVD with basically no context, just a thing that says alternate ending. You click it and it plays, and it makes zero sense.
Some clips you can have that don't need context. That's like, that makes sense. This is like kind of like art house crap in like
I don't know about that. I mean, I think I can understand the context of why they did this pretty simply. But
can you explain to me what actually happens? Because I don't even know.
Let's start with this. Like, did any of us actually like the ending that happens right now in Face Off 1997, which is John Travolta returning home with an adopted son? Do any of us like that the movie ended on that moment?
Even that word adopted is like kind. It's the stolen child.
Basically. Yeah, he just
kidnapped that boy.
Like, do you think they would do all the paperwork like in the afternoon? No.
You don't need to go through paperwork if you're the number one cop in America. You can take any kid you want off the street.
So what I'm getting from all of this is that no, none of us actually like that ending, and it's kind of stupid and cheesy and sappy and completely unnecessary.
That doesn't make this alternate ending
How
good.
many movies do you have where the hero takes the child of the villain and adopts them, just like kidnaps him essentially?
I'm not saying that because that ending is terrible, this one is by definition or automatically a great ending, but I am saying I understand the rationale being like at some point some producer or John Woo or somebody was like, this ending kind of sucks. Maybe we should shoot something else just in case we need it. And so I think what they ended up doing was they did a very simple scene that is clearly and without a doubt 100% inspired by the end of Twin Peaks season 2. And they just shot it within like probably an hour. And then decided ultimately in the editing room, you know what, this is almost as bad as what we're actually using. So let's not just muddy the waters even further and let's just cut it.
Now,
when did Twin Peaks end? Like 95?
Twin Peaks season 2 would have ended in around 92-ish. It would have been a few years. It would have been like 5 years earlier. But like it was a huge thing.
Yeah.
That ending, especially that ending, because everyone was just like, that's it. Like that's how Twin Peaks is going to end. Like this is like that's all we're going to get because at that point everyone knew the show was
it doesn't matter. Anyways,
asking Sean what Twin Peaks is like asking Stephen Hawking to explain like the universe. Well, if you go back to the beginning of television,
I'm sure none of you have noticed because you probably didn't watch, but I even put like multiple Twin Peaks GIFs in many of our episodes that are up on YouTube in the full episodes. But you know, no one's ever watched those.
We're recording this.
Okay, comparing the director's cut, the theatrical cut version, and the alternate ending that I just saw in Russian, I would probably have to say that the alternate take in Russian is probably better than the theatrical version, and that's because it's like. It's not even that it even makes sense or that it's like a twist ending, because it's not a twist. It's just like, oh, it's not him, I guess.
No, I think you're supposed to leave, if they had included this ending in the actual theatrical cut, I think you're supposed to leave the theater wondering to yourself, is John Travolta changed forever because of what happened to him? And is he now have some part of Nicolas Cage in his psyche?
But why, like, does Joan Allen still see?
Yeah.
Caster,
because that doesn't make sense to me. It's trying to have its cake and eat it too, because it is.
It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make any sense, and that's probably. And that's ultimately probably why it also just didn't get used, right? Somebody had they were sitting in the theater, they were screening the screening room, they were watching that ending, and then someone was just like, wait, how does Joan Allen see this? And then everyone was just like, fuck. All right, no, we gotta cut it.
One nerd pointed out, like, fuck.
Yeah.
How much money are we putting in this? Oh, hundreds of millions of dollars. And we want to have this as the ending. It's like, how could that even just get off a piece of paper, with that ending?
The music is so awful too and cheesy. Like you're expecting like the eyes to change to like bright red or yellow, like he's still possessed by demons.
You know what they should have had? He should have just had a waking up. Oh, it was just a dream. And
yeah,
kind of was, but that was probably just a temp track in the soundtrack, right? I don't really remember it now. But I think it sounded like it was just temp music.
It's very like schlocky horror music over the top.
ultimately what they should have done is just really done what Twin Peaks did, which is like in that scene only Kyle MacLachlan sees his reflection and that he's this other person who's Bob in that series. So what they should have done is just have John Travolta like look at his reflection and see Nicolas Cage looking back at him, which they kind of do, but then
That
they
would make more
complicate it.
sense.
They complicate it with
You know
John
what
Allen.
they're doing
right?
though? You know what they're doing is they're doing that classic thing that all those horror movies, get the water cooler conversation. So like that last scene in Carrie, that
Yeah.
last scene in Friday the 13th, that
Yeah.
last like kind of jump scare, I
Yeah.
guess, or that
And to be fair,
final moment.
It's not all resolved type moment.
yeah, and to be fair, that's completely out of place in this action film.
Yeah.
But so is the ending that they go with right now, which is the sappy, completely sentimental ending that really it's just not. It's not
they're
really.
trying
that
to they're trying to pay off the original death of his child. like in
Sure,
the
sure,
opening.
and it's more earned than necessarily what this ending would have been. But it's also just
It's also
so
the laziest
cheesy.
thing, lazy
It's-
too, because it's like, oh, here's a kid, he dies. Okay, oh, here's another kid, and he's taken home. Like,
It falls all
there's
your
no
problems,
there's
yeah.
no development at all. It's just matter of fact.
Kids are like goldfish. You just get another one and you don't even notice the difference.
That's why Tyler's had 6 kids already.
That's true, and counting.
I think there's a reading of this scene where you could imply that like it's just Joan Allen's PTSD that's going to be kicking in for the rest of her life, right? Because of what happened, because she knows this happened. Like you could argue that it wasn't John Travolta seeing Nicolas Cage reflected back at him. It was just Joan Allen walking into it and then just like having this stressed reaction of seeing this man who she thinks is her husband and they're all intermingled now.
You know
So
how
that-
it would have been awesome, I'll tell you, is if there was some sort of physical defect that Nicolas Cage has like throughout the movie or whatever. And so then
Like a scar on his chest.
No,
right now?
no, like he has like a twitch or something. He has like a twitch, right? Or like something like he does like this is something that is a characteristic, but like nothing, but it's just like a idiosyncrasy. And what would have been interesting is that last scene, instead of the face, it's just the twitch thing, because
The
that
one
would
little
make sense.
tweak.
Yeah, or like whatever it is, that physical
Yeah.
defect, because then, well, it would make sense in the context of like, well, he would have had to do that. How much of the bad guy transferred over?
Right, he's still
the good
you
guy.
don't see him, but he's still like
Like,
possessed.
yeah,
by part
it's
of him.
kind of, yeah, it's just
Yeah, I can
would
see
have
what
been a
you're
bit.
saying.
It would have been, I think, a bit. And you know what? I literally came up with that in 5 seconds. So like,
It would have been slightly more subtle than either option
So
that they ended
perfect
up going
ending. He hugs his wife and whispers, "I could eat a peach for hours." Credits.
no.
and it got peaches.
I like Tyler's better, but yeah, it will be funny
Mm.
either way. Then he just like licks her face, like John Travolta licks her.
Wow, that got out of hand.
All right, I think let's wrap this week's episode up, Chris.
So what a treasure. This was a discovery of a lifetime. Face Off 1997 may not be the same now. I'll have to just watch it all over again, and then again and again and again. And then
Whenever I watch the movie from now on, I'm just automatically going to go to YouTube and fire up that bad boy to make sure it ends the way someone intended it to.
I almost want to
Yeah.
have that alternate ending just constantly playing it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it probably would enrich your life in some way, shape, or form, I'm sure.
No, it couldn't hurt. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for joining me on week 14, the secret ending to the secret movie Face Off 1997. And I can't wait to share some secrets with you next week on week 15.